Just think about it. Most goals don't fail from lack of ambition. You know that you have ambition. They fail from a lack of alignment. You can't achieve what you cannot define without clarity or conviction. How many goals have you set that didn't stick? Just think about even this last week. What goals did you start out with on Monday that wasn't accomplished by Friday? It's not because you didn't care. It's because your goals weren't connected. They weren't connected to your purpose, your identity, to a real strategy. Today, I'm going to give you a framework to set goals that energize you, keep you focused, actually change the trajectory of your leadership and your life. I think that's my favorite word, trajectory. And today we're going to focus on that. If your goal isn't rooted in purpose, it won't last. Purpose gives your goals staying power, especially when things are getting hard. Let me tell you a story about a founder that I coached recently who set revenue goals but kept falling short. When we explored why, his deeper motivation, we discovered that his true driver wasn't the money. It was the desire to have impact. It was the desire to make a difference in people's lives. Once we reframed his goals in terms of the number of small businesses he wanted to help, everything changed. And so did his revenues. Ask yourself this: what happens if I don't pursue this goal? Who might be affected? What opportunities would I miss? Now flip it. What becomes possible if I do? What kind of person do I become? What doors are opening? What impact could I have on the people around me? That's probably my favorite one. Too often, we rush to set goals without reflecting on their emotional and relational weight. I want you to get used to that word emotional. We're going to be talking about it a lot. But when your goals are tied to real stakes, your family, your future, your legacy, they stop being optional and they become urgent. I want you to imagine your goal as a turning point, not just something you want to achieve, but a choice that ripples outward. Like a pebble that you throw in the pond and you can't really see the final effects of the water. If you follow through, how does this change your confidence, your relationships, your career? And if you don't, what story will you tell yourself about why it didn't matter? Purpose gives you emotional gravity to keep going when distractions and doubts show up. Do you have distractions? Maybe more importantly, do you have doubts? I know that I do. We want to take care of those today. When you understand what's truly at stake, you won't have to fight as hard for motivation. You'll already be anchored in meaning. Let's be honest. SMART goals are everywhere. You know the acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Hey, they're good. I have a lot of people that use that acronym. They help you bring structure, clarity, and timelines to your ambitions. But I've learned there's also a problem. Structure without substance won't move you. SMART goals often fall flat when they lack emotional weight. There's that word again. Imagine setting a goal like increase revenues by 20% in Q4. Sure, it's clear, it's measurable, but does it spark anything deeper? SMART goals keep you efficient, but they rarely keep you emotionally invested. You check the box, but you don't grow in the process. SMART goals can become a checklist for activity rather than a catalyst for transformation. Now just think about that phrase. Catalyst for transformation. They're about doing, not becoming. So yes, use them, but don't stop there. There is a more powerful upgrade that we can apply today. It's time to tap into the heart for sustainable momentum. Yes, we are talking about your heart that's in your chest, but we're also talking about a new acronym. That's where HEART goals come in. HEART stands for Heartfelt, Energizing, Aligned, Realistic, and Tracked. Let's start with Heartfelt. The goal connects with something you deeply care about. Not just what looks good on paper, but what resonates in your gut. Energizing, it actually gives you energy. You feel more alive, more engaged. Just think about it. Aligned. It fits with your personal values, your vision, your season of life. Realistic. It stretches you, but it's doable. You believe it's possible with the right effort. And then finally, tracked. You can measure progress in a meaningful way. Heart goals speak to your internal compass, not just your external to-do list. They create momentum because they matter. They stick because they spark something inside of you. Let me give you an example. Instead of working out 3 times a week, a heart goal might be, hey, let's build strength and energy so I can keep up with my kids and feel sharp every morning. Did you see the difference in the second version? It has purpose, emotion, and vision. It's all baked in. That's what creates staying power. That's how you connect performance with passion. Strategy without vision is like driving 90 miles an hour in the wrong direction. Have you ever done that? It's not a fun experience. You might be executing perfectly, but if you haven't defined the destination, all that movement might be meaningless. Vision gives context to your effort. It's the big picture that makes the small task make sense. You can have the best roadmap in the world, but if it leads you to the wrong place, isn't that a waste of time? As a leader, you owe it to yourself and your team to pause and ask, what are we really building here? What would a win look like if everything went well? This isn't just corporate fluff. It's a critical tool to avoid burnout, to avoid drifting, and maybe even resentment. Let me tell you a story about a chief operating officer that I coached recently. They had flawless execution, but was heading toward a burnout. She realized she was building something that didn't align with what she actually wanted to do. We paused. We reimagined her 3-year vision and built something far more meaningful, far more fulfilling. Take a moment and mentally fast forward 3 years from now. What does your ideal day look like? Not just what you're doing, but how are you feeling? Who are you surrounded by? What impact are you having? This visualization technique isn't fluff. It taps into how your brain works. When you picture your future vividly, you begin to wire your brain to move toward it. So many leaders set goals around what they want to have, what they want to achieve, but the most powerful goals are rooted in who you want to become and how you want to live. Picture it, feel it, then reverse engineer into daily habits and daily decisions. The most sustainable goals are identity-based. Why? Because when your goal is tied to your sense of self, it stops being negotiable. It becomes part of who you are. Instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, say, I'm becoming someone who values endurance and discipline. When your goals reflect your desired identity, your actions naturally align. This approach transforms short-term compliance into long-term change. You're not just trying to hit a metric. You're becoming a new version of yourself, and that's the fuel that keeps you going when motivation runs out. Replace, I want to work out, with, I'm becoming someone who moves daily because I value strength and energy. You can probably just feel the difference thinking about it. James Clear said it best. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. But let's go deeper. Your systems flow from your habits, and your habits are shaped by your identity. So, if you want different results, don't just set a different goal. Start by asking, who do I believe I am? Your brain is wired to be consistent with your identity. If you view yourself as a disciplined and focused leader, you'll make decisions that reflect this. If you don't believe you're capable or worthy, you'll sabotage your progress. Does any of this resonate with you? Have you ever said, I'm just not worthy of the role that I'm in or the job that I have? That's the sabotage that we're talking about. Let's build identity first, then reinforce it with aligned habits. Listen, the results will follow. Pay attention to this. This is one of my favorite visuals. Imagine 3 overlapping circles: your personal values, your professional mission, and your deeper purpose. Where they intersect, That's the sweet spot. That's where clarity meets energy, and your goals start to feel like a calling, not just a task list. When these areas are out of sync, you feel the friction. Maybe you're hitting your business targets, but neglecting your health. Or, dare I say, neglecting your family. Or maybe you're serving a meaningful cause, but financially you're stressed, or financially you're burned out. But when your goals honor all three domains, that's when you experience alignment. That's when work energizes you, relationships thrive, and growth accelerates. Don't just chase what's urgent. Design your goals where those three rings converge. Here's an example. Jeff, a VP of sales, wanted to mentor young leaders, a personal value. He turned that into a professional initiative by creating an internal leadership pipeline. The results? It was far more meaningful to Jeff, more retention, and more joy. Let's go deeper on alignment. True productivity isn't about getting more done. It's about doing more of what actually matters. When your goals reflect your deepest values and your biggest aspirations, motivation becomes internal. You don't have to hype up yourself. The goal pulls you forward. Let me give you an example. I coached a leader who was chasing a promotion, but underneath, what he really wanted was to create a legacy for his family and to serve a bigger cause. Once we aligned his work with mentoring, community impact, and financial peace for his family, his motivation and his influence absolutely skyrocketed. Aligned goals aren't just effective, they're deeply fulfilling. This is where most goals go to die, the gap between inspiration and execution. You attend a conference, you listen to a great podcast, or you have a breakthrough coaching session. You feel the energy, and then life happens. No system, no follow-through, no execution. Building the bridge, big vision, daily calendar. The key is building a bridge between your big vision and your daily calendar. Start big, then zoom in. What's your 3-year picture? Break it into 1-year targets. Set a 90-day goal. Define monthly checkpoints. And finally, pick weekly actions that build momentum. That's how you close the gap. The magic isn't dreaming. The magic is in designing. As we design goals with structure and rhythm, you stop starting over and over. You start finishing stronger and stronger. Break goals down. Now think about this. You need a 3-year vision, a 1-year target, a 90-day focus, monthly check-ins, and weekly actions. Let me introduce you to one of the most powerful tools I use in coaching. I call it the power of one. Here's how it works. Every week, ask yourself one question. What's the one action I can take this week? One action that will move my most important goal forward. Why is this so effective? Because it brings clarity. It drives action. When we get overwhelmed, we default to busy work. You ever done that? I know I do it. But because you're focused on the one thing that matters most, you unlock momentum. The power of one cuts through complexity. It demands prioritization, and it builds a habit of consistent forward movement. Try this. Before your week starts, write down your one thing. Block time for it, protect it, finish it, then move on. If you do this 52 weeks a year, your goals won't just stay alive, they will thrive. Most people plan for success, but they don't prepare for failure. That's why I teach a technique called the pre-mortem. Here's how it works. Imagine it's 90 days from now and your goal failed. Be honest. What went wrong? What derailed you? Lack of focus? A big distraction? Fatigue? Maybe conflict? Was there unexpected resistance? When you do a pre-mortem, you bring the future obstacles into the present. You get ahead of the curve. You build strategies now for what could go wrong later. This isn't pessimism, it's preparedness. You're not predicting failure. You're creating margin and resilience. When you name the roadblocks ahead of time, you rob them of their power. Let me say this clearly. Every meaningful goal will face resistance. You set a big target, and almost instantly, life throws up roadblocks. Are you listening? That's not a sign to quit. It's a confirmation you're on the right path. Without roadblocks, without resistance, you don't know that you're on the right path. Be looking for those. Resistance can look like procrastination, fear, perfectionism, maybe it's criticism, or even unexpected crisis. But if you expect it, you can prepare for it. When I work with leaders, we don't just build a goal plan. We build a resistance plan. We ask, what are the predictable obstacles here? What will I do when they show up? And here's the key. The difference between average achievers and high performers is not the absence of resistance, it's the response to it. You've probably heard the saying, what gets measured gets managed. And it's true. But here's what most people miss. Measurement alone isn't enough. Visibility and review rhythms are what makes a goal sustainable. When you track your goals consistently, you build a pattern of accountability with yourself. You train your brain to pay attention. Progress becomes real because it isn't just a vague intention anymore. It's a number. It's a milestone. It's a checkbox you can see. Set up a rhythm that works for your life. Weekly reviews, 10 minutes on Friday to ask. Now write these down. What moved? What stalled? What matters next? Monthly tracking. Review key metrics, progress points, and blockers. Quarterly deep dive. Zoom out to assess momentum, direction, and assess needed pivots. When your goals are visible and measured, they don't drift, they move. One of the simplest yet most powerful practices I use with my executive clients is a weekly accountability check-in. It's really one of my more favorite times of the week. One CEO I coach texts me every Friday with his top 3 actions for the week. It takes 60 seconds. He has only missed one goal in 6 months. Powerful. Why? Because the act of telling someone your commitments changes everything. It creates this like pressure. It creates clarity, and it creates momentum. Accountability isn't about shame or micromanagement. It's about visibility. It's about ownership. And it's about forward motion. When someone knows what you said you would do, it's far less likely to fall through the cracks. It's this concept of leaning in on your own ego and pride that you don't want to come up short. You don't want to say, oh, I couldn't get that done. You're not in your seat because of that, but you're still human. And so these things do happen. So find someone, a coach, a colleague, a friend. Create a cadence. Share your top 3 each week. Keep it simple, honest, and consistent. You'll be shocked at how powerful it is. Don't go at this alone. Even the most disciplined leaders struggle to stay consistent when no one else knows what they're aiming for. Support, community, and coaching matters so much. When you involve others in your goal journey, you elevate your standard. You're not just accountable to yourself, you're connected to a shared commitment. It could be a mentor, a coach, a peer group, or a friend. The key is someone knows what you're after and is willing to check in. Isolation breeds inconsistency. Building relational accountability, your goals become part of something bigger than you. And that kind of connection, that's what makes goals stick. Let's pull this all together. If you want to set goals that actually stick, here's the full playbook. Start with purpose. Know your why before you pick your what. Anchor in identity. Define who you want to become, not just what you want to do. Align your goals across your life. Personal, professional, and purpose should overlap. Break it down. Create a roadmap that translates vision into daily and weekly action. Plan for resistance. You know it's coming. Use a pre-mortem to prepare for what could knock you off track. Track and share. Build a rhythm of review and accountability. Each of these components build on the other. You skip one, and your momentum will weaken. Get them all working together, and you'll experience a compound effect of clarity, consistency, and confidence, all reinforcing each other. This isn't a motivational gimmick. It's a system for sustainable achievement. Here's your next move. Think of a goal you've already set this year, one that feels stale, that feels vague, or feels off track. Now ask yourself, is this goal connected to purpose? Does it reflect who I want to become? Is it specific and trackable? Does it energize me? If the answer is no to any of those, rewrite your goal. Don't scrap the goal entirely. Refocus it. Infuse it with meaning, momentum, and a sense of identity. For example, don't say, I want to read more. Instead, say, I'm becoming a leader who sharpens my mind and expands my thinking by finishing 12 meaningful books this year. That small shift changes everything. It gives your brain something to lock in on. It changes how you plan your time. It even changes how you introduce yourself. So pick one goal, rewrite it, make it matter, make it measurable, and most importantly, make it you. If you're ready to build more intentional momentum in your leadership, let's connect. I coach leaders like you each week, and I'd love to help you make your next 90 days your most focused yet. Thank you.